And there's still uncertainty that this today will actually mark the end of that timetable issued by the Electricity Company of Ghana with regard to the load shedding exercise. Despite the completion of repair works by the Ghana Gas Company, JoyNews is learning that there are a number of factors that may further delay that end of the load shedding exercise. A number of Ghanaians have been raising concerns about the inconvenience of the intermittent power outages, but from indications, gas supply from Nigeria will still be a hindrance. Colleague Joseph Agable has been digging into the details and has more.
There has been a challenge with the gas we received from Nigeria. This has resulted in a loss of about 200 megawatts of power, as what was to come from Nigeria yesterday didn't come in. So this is not something that's within the control of the utilities companies in Ghana. What this means is that there's a shortfall in available power. So during peak hours, our sources tell us that we are looking at some shortfall of about 400 megawatts and more than 200 within off-peak periods. And this is not just due to the Nigerian situation that I alluded to. There's a bit about not having adequate fuel to power other available plants as well.
Now, we understand that Ghana Gas is operating, but not at the optimum level now. From what the other players tell you, will there be stable power supply beyond today?
I mean, the load shedding, as was advertised, is supposed to end today. What we can confirm is that from today, the power situation will generally improve, but they would only be able to get to the level that they were previously once the Ghana Gas Plant is operating at full capacity. That will be one. And the second will be the ability to get as many plants as possible running due to the adequate supply of fuel. And so, yes, there will be an improvement, but it will not immediately get to the level that we expect to. And so as the days go by, with the improvement from the Ghana Gas and the subsequent availability of resources to power the other available plants, then we can get to that optimum level.
Okay, so it means that we should expect that the load shedding may continue after today, right?
To an extent, but not at the level that we are seeing currently.
Well, so that Joseph Agable giving us a sense of what may happen in the coming days, but what's the likely impact and how could Ghana be, of course, strategizing in these trying times in respect to our energy sector? Let's speak now to Dr. Yusuf Sulemana. He's an energy strategist and a policy analyst as well. Thank you, sir, for your time here on The Pulse. So it appears that Ghana Gas may indeed have completed works on that repairs the system they are repairing, but the supply itself will still be intermittent. What's accounting for this, knowing that gas supply will be a challenge to the country, and what alternatives should we be opting for as a country now?
Yeah, thank you very much, and good afternoon to you, Blessed, and good afternoon to your cherished viewers. Yeah, indeed, it would be unfortunate if Ghana Gas should complete and come back on stream, and the power supply to the end user would still be erratic. That would be highly unfortunate, and that I say would not be acceptable. Yeah, so if there are other latent or hidden issues that we don't know, I think players, they have to come clear. The last thing the end user needs is uncertainty in the way we communicate with respect to these issues. We are not sure, I'm not too sure where the issues may be coming from, but all these issues are pointing to the supply side, as in raw material. And that's safe to tell us that, I mean, over the years, I think we've been boasting of excess, generation capacity. And indeed, I think we did have excess generation capacity, but having the physical infrastructure, the generation infrastructure in place, is not only the end of the game, or it's not only the end to the equation, but the ability to be able to supply the raw material needed to power those infrastructure is equally crucial, to delivering power to the end user at competitive rates. And in this case, I think last time I talked about the triangular shape of energy security. I mean, energy doesn't only have to be, affordable or, available to the end user, but it should be sort of affordable or, dependable to the end user, but it should be readily available. And I can say that the availability component of it is key. If energy is not readily available, let's say it will cascade into these other two components that I talked about. And I think we are being challenged, we are gradually being challenged or confronted with availability issues. So what is the way out? I mentioned that we have a lot of dependence on other external parties. At this moment in time, Ghana, as we are so endowed with a lot of gas reserves within our shores, last time I mentioned that we are talking about billions and trillions cubic feet of gas within our shores. I mean, we'll have to take advantage of that. If anything at all, we should have been exporting gas at this moment in time, but that's not happening. And so this is telling us that we are still not insulated from energy security or power security ramifications.
And that's the greatest fear. Are we getting back to the dark days of doom? So that's the question on the minds of the average Ghanaian.
And that's a legitimate question that should ring in the minds of every Ghanaian at this moment in time, because those dark days were days that everybody regretted living in. So at the moment, the players within the sector have to come clear. Whatever the issues are, even if we have challenges and it's well communicated, I think people can adjust. People will understand. But if we keep covering issues and there are other latent issues that we are covering, it's going to be a very difficult thing. And to just add something more to the first question, the first question that you answered, what are the available options for us? Of course, I mentioned Ghana Gas, which we have to expand to, make the gas available. If the gas is so much available, I think it could be affordable sometimes, not all the time. If it's available, it could be very dependable and it could be very stable in terms of supply. Now we have to also look at the fact that we have to begin to gravitate taking household from this national grid. And it's easy to be done. It's been done everywhere. We have to champion. I think that our solar or renewable penetration has been so low. If you notice the time when we give ourselves, targets by 2010, by 2020 to cover about, some percentage of generation mix that should come from, renewables. In this case, I'm specifically talking about solar. Of course, hydro, we are doing so well, but solar and other renewables, we're not doing so well. We should open the space for private sector to invest into solar. If we invest into solar and make it competitive, and at this moment, solar is not competitive, I can tell you, because we haven't had the required investment into the sector. If we have the required investment into the sector to make it available and competitive and cheaper, these kind of problems will also be minimized in terms of the fact that the pressure on the grid or the national grid will be minimized to the best possible. Okay. And what the government needs is just to open the space for private sector investment into the sector. And I think that's the way to go.
Okay. And of course, we're still expecting the Ghana Gas Company to issue a formal statement on what's happening in terms of our power supply, because they've completed the exercise. We've just spoken to the CEO. He says an official statement will come up to explain why we're not operationalizing that facility yet. But you were talking about the fact that we have the capacity. Why not shift focus to other means? The various pieces of infrastructure that we have dotted across the country, and then we move ahead and rely on them instead of just dealing with the gas component.
Yes, so that's a very good one. And that's still back the question of gas penetration that I talked about. It is just unprecedented that we had gas we made an attempt to route gas from the west to the east. Yes, this infrastructure, their strategic location is not, their location is not strategic with respect to the available supply of gas. It is just, if you remember some time back, we had to do what we call reverse flow. We had to flow the backwards from either the east to the west or west to the east. So that still calls to the question of investment. We need massive investment into our gas infrastructure. And when I say gas infrastructure, even within Ghana itself, we should have the gas penetration so much, so good that probably if you have gas at at Atuabo or whatever, the gas should be able to be supplied to every corner of this country. And that requires for investment where we have readily pipelines that can supply this gas. That is still a challenge. In other jurisdictions where I operate, in fact, we have gas being supplied to our household. That's how much they have gone to penetrate. You have gas that can supply at you don't need to take cylinder to fill gas sometimes. You have the gas that is piped and you meter it and it comes to your household. And that is very secure. That is where we have to gravitate to. I think we are still far away. So what we need to do, we have to actually invest into this gas infrastructure to make sure that the gas penetration, even if the supply is there, it doesn't become so cumbersome. to be able to supply the gas to all the utility points in the country. President.
Okay, and as we wrap up, what should Ghanaians expect in terms of what's likely to happen when it comes to power supply in the coming days? What's your outlook, personally speaking?
Yeah, so I'm only hoping that, these issues are resolved timely or in a timeous manner. If they're not resolved and a cogent explanation is not brought into the picture, I think it's going to increase a lot of uncertainties. And Ghanaians will always be thinking that, we are almost going to go back to the dark days. That would be the thinking. So going forward, if by tomorrow, the deadline given was 7th of, this month, and we are just on the deadline. Let's give them some time. Probably something is being worked out. Let's say by tomorrow, if we haven't had any cogent explanation, that is convincing as to why we're still going to have erratic power supply, then I'm sure every Ghanaian has a cause to be worried. But I think I would say it is early days here. Let's hold our gun and let's wait for the place in the sector to come out clear. And what I urge them to do, if they have challenges and they still need to continue with the load shedding, it is not out of place to come up with a new timetable and communicate clearly what the issues are. And I think if they do that, Ghanaians should be able to understand them better. But if they leave it in a vacuum, a lot of explanations will be given, and that feed into the uncertainties that we have, and that is not good.
I thought that would have been the last one. But I thought that would have, I thought that would have been the last one. But I'm just being reminded about the IPPs too. The independent power producers haven't spoken since. Do you feel that there may be some issues in that industry that we need to learn much more about?
Yeah, that's also very strange to me that I haven't heard, because they are the core. They are also the core of this particular chain that we are having problem, which is the generation mix. The generation aspect of it. I just hope that we don't gravitate to a point where we are going to talk about finances again. And that's what I'm hoping. I don't know, but that's what I'm hoping. Because see, if challenges are happening like this and it is not been explained clearly, at the end of the day, don't be surprised that finances will come to play. And for these guys, they are private players. If they are not paid, or if whatever they delivered, they don't get the money back, there could be a lot of things. So yes, I think if there's something that they can say about the situation, the IPPs, they can come out and say, so that we'll understand the picture very clear. I think the quiet, they are so unnecessarily quiet, and it's also worrying. I hope there are no issues with finances at this moment in time, President.
That's all we are hopeful. I'm grateful, Dr. Yusuf Suleiman, for spending some time with us.